Well, good evening, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody's having a great day. I am back home, and I am actually in countdown mode for the Eagles game. You know what's kind of crazy is I built this outdoor studio in 2020, and I did that because of COVID, and I built this studio desk. Now, this studio desk has been out here for 5 years. 5 years. This is a solid mahogany top, and the cover blew away a while ago, and I'm just getting some furniture polished over here and cleaning it up. It's still in freaking fantastic shape, and a little dirty, but definitely in pretty good shape. I'm amazed at my craftiness, okay? But this is what Spar Your Thing does for you. So,
There's some good news.
what's the good news?
They said the defense that we ran is similar to the Green Bay Clark the other play week 1.
Oh, he's going to be playing
He's
week
gonna play
one.
week
We're not.
one.
Well, I will say here that's what I want to say is
That's not some good news.
I'm hearing some rumors. Well, we've heard some of the rumors about Micah PArsons being the diva, and you know Micah PArsons, yeah, he doesn't drink, don't smoke. Okay, he's good at two-shoe. He was not one of those guys that was out partying and drunk driving, or you heard him about domestic violence or anything like that. But it makes you wonder because you kind of got the Tank Lawrence versus Micah PArsons and things. We had heard 105.3 The Fan that some of the coaching staff were kind of tired of his stick last year, okay? And when Micah didn't get his way with the contract, the worst thing that I think he could ever do was him actually laying on the training table, sleep. I'm sorry. That was like, I think that might have been the moment the Cowboys said, we're done. What's the best deal we can get? We're done. And Jerry Jones, if what we hear is true from Jane Slater, where Jerry Jones basically tried to say, either play on the 5th-year option or leave. That's the two options. We're not doing a long-term deal with you after that bullshit, okay? Yeah, that's the two options. And $47 million, I kind of see where they're going. I'm not, believe me, we have to understand that the price continues to go up. I'm going to look at this and say, it's some of Jerry Jones waiting to see more leaves fall. He should have tried to take care of this thing last year. Had he taken care of this last year, we would have had him locked up. We would have had him for a reasonable price. At that time, we would have said, my God, that's a whole lot of money, $35 million for an edge rusher. But we'd be sitting here looking at this today and saying, damn, after TJ got his, hey, we did a good thing. So, if it's true, the rumors that you're hearing that people were kind of, like, come on, Micah, we got it. We know it's a problem that Micah, I'm trying to remember how Clarence put it. I think he said, Micah is smelling his own piss, which is like an old wives thing or old grandma thing that said when you start smelling your piss, you're kind of getting a little bit too much of your damn self or too full of yourself. And maybe that was the case with Micah PArsons, that he got a little too big for his britches. I don't know. And this whole deal, who knows? Maybe the Cowboys get lucky and one of the Green Bay Packers picks is a late round pick, and it ends up being, instead of drafting Taco Charlton, we drafted TJ Watt. Maybe Donovan EZ or Marshawn Nealon. We heard that Marshawn Nealon was like DeMarcus Lawrence, right? We heard that when we drafted him. He could be the replacement for him. Well, now's his opportunity. And Donovan EZ, we've seen him bend the edge, and the guy had 15.5 sacks last year. Who's to say that these two guys don't do that? I will say that with Clark, we have not had a Pro Bowl nose tackle since 2011, Jay Radcliffe. 2011, Jay Radcliffe. And what problem have we constantly had? What problem have we constantly had since then? What has Mark Holmes been screaming from the high heavens? We need a nose tackle. Why the Cowboys don't believe in nose tackles? We need to stop the run. And everything starts with stopping the run. With the Eagles, everything starts with them running the football with Saquon. So the problem, of course, is Micah, and maybe you can call me delusional trying to say I'm sugarcoating it, but I remember Doc Walker saying, shout out to Doc Walker, former Hog, but he's like, if I lose with you, I can lose without you. And we definitely were losing last year without him. Now, I'm not trying to throw shade on Micah because I like Micah. I've got Micah autographed memorabilia stuff and things there, okay? I got, the assassin plaques and stuff that we've made in here that we were giving away. But, and now that shit's worthless as far as Cowboy fans. Here's what's going to be interesting to watch. I can guarantee that Micah PArsons' first podcast will break numbers. Everybody's going to want to hear what he has to say. I can guarantee you a week from next Tuesday will be mind-blowing listening to Micah PArsons' podcast. But I don't know how good it's going to be without Cowboys Nation in it going forward. I don't know how many people will watch with the same intensity since he's no longer a Dallas Cowboy. That's a real thing. Micah PArsons, congratulations, man. I'm glad you got your money. Glad you did. We'll see what we see. The most important thing now is not that we lost Micah, okay? The question really is, what are we doing now that you have a little bit more money and now that you have more draft picks? Is it the same status quo where we don't do shit? Or are we actually going to be about something and we're actually going to go out here and now try to build something? I've heard Jerry Jones doing a whole lot of talking, and I'm going to be real with you. I've kind of said, I'm wishy-washy, okay? I ride the fence, okay? When we were about to pay Zeke Elliott, here was what I said about Zeke Elliott. Running backs typically, maybe 85, 90% of them, after 4 years, are going downhill. Zeke Elliott getting his contract when he did was about the pinnacle of his career, and he went downhill. And that's one of those ones you look at and say, why did you do that? And it came back to bite him in the ass. It might have been actually more advantageous if the Cowboys said, we're going to trade you. As crazy it would have sounded then, you look back on it now and say, what if the Cowboys had traded Zeke instead of paying him? And we got, a first round pick or, something, of value and use that to replace him. You can look at this in a multitude of ways. You can look at this and say, what if we didn't pay Michael Gallup, instead use the money that we were paying Michael Gallup, that basically $12 million a year, and said, we're going to go out and get a free agent wide receiver and rent him for 2 years. You could have done that and brought in a guy who was competent, who wasn't coming back from an ACL, and only been committed for 2 years. You signed him for a $25 million contract with, 15 guaranteed or something like that. As opposed to us right now, I don't know that people realize that move right there, we're still paying for Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup is still an $8 million hit on our roster today. And so you look at this and say, maybe instead of us running guys into the ground, maybe it's better to let them go and not pay them a king's ransom and get something for them while they still have value. you have to look at it and say, Carson Wentz, although you didn't think he had much value, them trading Carson Wentz away is really what helped them win that Super Bowl. The players that they were able to get. I believe A.J. Brown was one of those. So who knows? Maybe the Cowboys are able to take one of those number one picks and trade for a veteran of the caliber of like A.J. Brown. Could happen. So we'll have more discussions on this, and we need to actually change the focus to the Cowboys versus the Eagles. I forgot, see, it's nice out here. It's a little warmer up here than it is. See, the Red Brick House, it's about 5 degrees or so cooler down there, and it's not as humid. So when I got back up here, it was about mid-80s, and it was kind of steamy. But right now, the temperature's coming down, and it feels kind of nice out here. I forgot I turned on the ceiling fans too. I need to do more out here. And Lord knows I got to clean this mother humper up. Damn. It's a mess out here. All right, people. I'll see you at 9. There's always so much work to do.